Xenoblade Chronicles X is coming to the Switch, and it has new content. Should we be hyped? DJ Raviesta here, and you know that we've got to talk about this right here. Xenoblade Chronicles X finally coming to the Switch. I've been waiting for this for years. So of course, had to make a video about it. I know it's a little bit late. You know, the announcement happened a few months ago. I was doing other things, life, all that kind of stuff. But I want to get right into what I feel about Xenoblade Chronicles X. Is it going to live up to the hype? First thing I want to talk about though, what the game looks like, because that's the thing you're going to notice right off the bat. Does it look different enough from the previous version? So Xenoblade Chronicles X, originally on the Wii U, now on the Switch, and in my personal opinion, there are some distinctions between the two graphically. So the faces in the Nintendo Switch version of the game compared to the Wii U version look a lot better. I'm not gonna lie, they look better. Now, back in the day, I wasn't one of the people complaining about the faces. I definitely understood the complaints, like they did look very doll-like. For me, I was just like, I don't care, I'm just gonna play this game. But when I do look back at the older version and compare it to the new one, the new ones do look a lot better, and I like that. It looks like they're going for a vibe very close to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Next thing to talk about when it comes to graphics is gonna have to be the colors. So the Switch version looks a lot more saturated and has a bit more contrast compared to the Wii U version, which, looking back at it, looks a little bit washed out, not gonna lie. And having a much more vibrant color cast is going to make this game really pop and stand out and make a lot of the most impactful moments of the story just be even more so. I have to talk about the UI as well. So the UI back on the Wii U was just atrocious when it comes to the text, because it was so hard to read. Like, you had this really tiny text on the screen and you're trying to struggle to be like, all right, I gotta figure out how to customize my scale and do this and do that. And it's like, okay, I wish I didn't need a magnifying glass to do this. What it seems like they're doing now with the Switch version is they're making things a lot more understandable. They're making a lot of the icons bigger. The text is much bigger than the original version on the Wii U, and I'm really happy about that. This is gonna make the experience a lot more enjoyable for anyone who is coming from the Wii U version, or for anyone who's just gonna be playing the game for the first time. So with Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Switch, we're gonna be getting a lot of features, and the first one that steps out to me is the online. Originally in the Wii U version of the game, the online was pretty bland. It wasn't terrible, but it was there, it existed. And the way it worked was you had the ability to play with people in lobbies and take on monsters and so on. You could do that, but you could also do this very loose online gameplay where you'd be taking on different tasks, collecting items, defeating monsters and so on to rack up a specific count, and all the people doing that in that particular 32-person squad contributed to that goal. And from what it's looking like, they're keeping that exact same style for the Switch version. I wish they would improve upon that and maybe make it so that players could interact with each other in a bigger way. Maybe they have a bigger lobby to mess around in, or maybe they'll add something in where you can play with people in their version of their game. Like, you could go to NLA and hang out with them. I think that would be pretty cool. From what it's looking like, that does not seem to be the case, but I'll just have to wait and see. Maybe they'll add some more stuff to it. Another part of the new additions to the game has to be the new story elements. And for those of you who've played Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U, you already know how that game ended. We need more. We need something else. And I really think that with what they're doing here, it seems promising. It looks like there might be enough to work with here to get those loose ends tied up. What I'm really hoping for though is that there will be enough impact with these newer story elements, because with that cliffhanger, if they don't follow up on that in a meaningful way, them adding those story elements isn't gonna mean much. So my hope is that it's impactful enough for us to feel like, yes, this was done well, and the way they finished up the story makes sense. Something else that I noticed from the newer trailers they've been putting out for the game would be a new scale that popped in, and of course, some new characters. I'll talk about them in a little bit. But we've got this new scale called Hresvelg, and man, this thing looks really, really cool. And I definitely love how it transforms into a jet when you fly with it. That's pretty cool, so I'm looking forward to messing with that one. This particular scale seems to be piloted by a new character called Lizel, and I'm curious to see how she's going to be incorporated into the story and how she's going to have an impact on the gameplay. Speaking of characters getting added to the game, we've got Nail being added into Xenoblade Chronicles X for the Nintendo Switch. For those of you who had the special edition of Xenoblade Chronicles X, you also had the art book, and if you check through that art book, you'll see that Nail was actually in there. And she was intended to be in the game originally, but didn't get added in for whatever reason. If anyone could tell me that reason, please do so in the comments, because I don't know it. But thing is, she's getting added to the game, and what I want to see is how she's going to be included. Same thing with Lizel. Is she going to have a meaningful place within the tapestry of this entire story? But we'll have to wait and see, and hopefully they do something good with her. With all of that said, should we be hyped for Xenoblade Chronicles X on Nintendo Switch? My verdict is absolutely. Xenoblade Chronicles X is one of those games that people have been clamoring for years, and it's finally making its way to the Nintendo Switch this month. Personally, I am extremely hyped to play the game, and I'm sure a lot of other people are as well. For me, Xenoblade Chronicles X is a very special game. One, because it's technically the game that got me initiated into the Xenoblade franchise. It's not the first Xenoblade game I played, but it's the one that made me want to start playing the series. Also, it's my favorite Xenoblade game. I remember absolutely loving the story, loving the side missions. A lot of the characters in the game are just so well fleshed out. And then also just doing random stuff like flying around with my Skell. Just cuz! Not because I had anywhere to go, but just because it was so much fun to do something like that. And I wholeheartedly believe that Nintendo is going to make Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Switch an experience to have. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I really feel that if you're on the sidelines, if you're on the fence about this one, give it a try. I think you're going to enjoy it, especially if you love RPGs, and especially if you love the Xenoblade franchise. So what are your thoughts on Xenoblade Chronicles X coming to the Switch? Are you hyped? Are you gonna be picking it up? Let me know in the comment section. I'm DJ Raviesta. That's gonna be it for me. I will catch you guys later. And remember, the Rhinos are watching. Good night.